Hello, everyone. It's nice seeing you guys again, and you're welcome to my channel. So, today we are going to continue by looking at some examples again on indices. So, let's see how we are going to solve these problems one after the other. So, let's look at the first question. A, 3 raised to power 3 times a raised to power 3 times 5a raised to power 4. How do we go about this? It's very easy and simple. The rule here is this. Make sure you separate numbers from letters. That is, in this kind of situation, in order for you to have a clear path or a clear way on solving this question, you need to separate numbers from letters. So I can as well say that this is 3 times 5 times a raised to power 3 times a raised to power 4. Now, what do we observe? We have observed here now that the numbers are different and the letters are the same. So it means from this, we are going to obey the laws of indices on this side. While here, we are just going to multiply normally. So I'll say 3 times 5 here is what? Is 15 times a raised to power 3 plus 4. Let's not forget that in our laws of indices, in fact, the first law of indices tells us that a raised to power x times a raised to power y, that is a raised to power x times a raised to power y equals a raised to power x plus y. So in this situation, we are going to say that a raised to power 3 times a raised to power 4 equals what? That is a raised to power 3 plus 4. So by say a raised to power 7, and our answer is 15a raised to power 7. That's all. Now let's move on to the next question. B, 6x raised to power 3 divided, all in bracket raised to power 3 divided by 36x raised to power 6 all raised to power half. Now, how do we go about this too? Now let's not forget that if you see a number or number and the letter enclosed in a bracket and you see a power outside, please let's not forget that it is quite different from this. You can see that this is 3a raised to power 3. The power here focuses more on a, but this power here focuses more on 6 and x. That is, it can distribute itself to what? To 6 and x, to everything that you can find in these brackets. So if I can as well say 6x raised to power 3 here means 6x times 6x times 6x. But I can as well use the one of the laws of indices that tells us that what? That is product power law, that says that a power that is outside can distribute itself to what? To everything that you can find in this bracket, all of which we have 6 and x. So I can as well say it is same as saying 6 raised to power 3 times x raised to power 3 divided by, now what do we observe here? That is raised to power half, though it is a fractional power, but since it is outside this bracket, and what do we have in this bracket? We have 36 and x raised to power 6. So we also have two items in this bracket. We have 36 and x raised to power 6. So it means that the power outside will also affect 36 and x raised to power 6. So if I should doing this, if it should distribute this way, we are going to be having 36 raised to power 1 over 2 times x raised to power 6 times 1 over 2. Let's not forget that 36 is on its own, as in automatically it's don't let me, but just know, let's just know that this is 36 and this half goes to 36 as its power because it distributes over 36 and x raised to power 6. So for x raised to power 6, you can see that this is 6 times the power is clashing here, and also the power, which is half, also distributes to 36. So if I were to try to expand, I would just say this is what? This can be seen 6 times 6 times 6 times x raised to power 3 over this one can be taken to be the square root of 36. Let's not forget that I said in my last video that anything raised to the power 1 over the denominator, that denominator tells us the name of the root. So the denominator that is 2 here automatically tells us that what? This is square root of 36 times x raised to power. I can as well divide 2 here 1, 2 in 6, 3. So automatically this is like saying x raised to power 3. Now, I can proceed by saying 6 times 6 is 36, and 36 times 6, 216. So I will say 216 times x raised to power 3 divided by, we automatically know that the square root of 36 is 6 times what? X raised to power 3. So from here, we are just going to round up by saying we are going to divide this by 216. So I'll say 216 times x raised to power 3 over 6 times x raised to power 3. So let's look at how we are going to divide this. We can use 3 to divide because 3 can go in 6 and 3 can go into 1, 6. So I will say 3 in 6, 2. 3 in 2, 1, 6. 3 in 21 is 7. 3 in 6 is 2. Automatically, I can also see that 2 can also divide 72. I can say 2 into 1, 2 in 72. That is, 2 in 7 is 3, remainder 1, and 2 in 12 is 6. So automatically, we have 36 times. Now, as you can see, x raised to power 3, let me even write it out, over 1 times x raised to power 3. So automatically 36 divided by 1 gives us 36 times. Now we can see x raised to power 3 divided by x raised to power 3. So if you want, if you like, you can just divide, it cancels out. Or however, you can as well say x raised to power 3 minus 3, because it's just like saying a raised to power x divided by a raised to power y is what? A raised to power x minus y. So we have 36 times x raised to power 0, and we know that anything raised to power 0 is what? Is 1. So I will say 36 times 1. Recall that x raised to power 0 is 1. So our answer is 36. And that is that for that. Now we proceed by moving on to the third question. The third question is 32 raised to power 3 over 5 times 16 raised to power 1 over 2 divided by 4 raised to power 3 over 2. So how do we go about this? Well, if you can look at this question, you are going to notice, or you are going to see, that this base carries this base carry powers that are fractional in nature. So what do we do when we come across questions like this? Let's not forget that the denominator automatically tells us the name of the root. So if I were to do it the way it has to be done, then I can say that this one can be converted to the fifth root of 32 all to the power 3 times this 2 tells us that is what? Is the square root of 16 to the power of 1, but it's not necessary to put it there. Then this one tells us that this is what? The square root of 4 to the power 3. Now, let's proceed. The fifth root of 32 is 2 because when I multiply 2 5 times, it gives me 32. So the fifth root of 32 is automatically 2. Let's not forget that it's having to the power of 3 here times automatically. We know that the square root of 16 is what? Is 4 over the square root of 4 is automatically 2. Then it's carrying a power 3 here. So we leave it like that. So what do we have? 2 raised to the power 3 here means 2 times 2 times 2 times 4 over 2 times 2 times 2. So, without even stressing ourselves, we all know that this can divide, or I can as well subtract them by dividing this since they are the same. Or since after multiplying, I will get the same number. So, the answer here is what? Is 4. So, 4 is our answer. So, let's move on to the last question here. And the last question is 3a square raised to the power 3 times 5a raised to the power 4 square. Now, let's look at this also. Please, let's take note that this is very, very much different. It's very different from this, quite different from this. You can see that the power is just focused on the letters. But in this case, the power is focused on everything that you can lay your hands on in the bracket. This one too is also a power of which the power distributes itself to what? To everything you can find in this bracket. So for what we can see here, I can see that this 3 it distributes itself to 3 and a raised to power 2. This 2 here distributes itself to what? To 5 and a raised to power 4. So I can as well say that this is the same as saying 3 raised to power 3 times a raised to power 2 times 3. Please let's not forget that this 3 goes for this and this 3 also multiplies this power. So we have times 5 raised to power 2 times a raised to power 4 times 2. So this is 3 times 3 times 3 times a raised to power 2 times 3 times 5 raised to power 2 here means what? 5 times 5 times a raised to power 4 times 2. So 3 times 3, 9. 9 times 3 is 27 times a raised to power 2 times 3, 6 times 5 times 5 is what? 25 times a raised to power 8. So at the end of the day, I will say this is 27 times 25 times a raised to power 6 times a raised to power 8. So from here we have 675 times a raised to power. Now we apply the law of indices here. So we have 6 plus 8. So 675 times a raised to power 14. So our answer is going to be what? 675 a raised to power 14. And that is our answer. So, and you can as well use another method by saying 3a raised to power 2 raised to power 3. That is, it means you are going to say 3 times 3a raised to power 2 times 3a raised to power 2 times 3a raised to power 2 times 5a raised to power 4 times 5 raised to power 4, since we can see square here. But we just want to fulfill all righteousness by what? By following the laws of indices in solving our question. I hope you enjoy this video, and see you in my next video. Thank you.